What's up, everybody? Welcome into Believe in Commanders. I am your host, Brian Murphy, along with AAA Anthony Armstrong, Atlanta, Texas. It is Thursday afternoon. We're getting ready for a weekend of football where the Commanders will face old friend Kirk Cousins. But first off, Anthony, how are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing good. It's a live studio audience on this episode of Believe in Commanders. Got my little guy Arrow over here. He's having a little lunch. He's eating on a croissant right now.
There you
He's a
go.
fancy little guy. But man, it's all good. Everything is good over here, and get to do a little high school football tonight
Okay.
too. I'm gonna
Nice.
go be the color on the Alito versus Fort Worth Brewers. So if anybody is from Texas, if you don't know anything about Texas, I just had a dog hit my camera and messed up my angle. If you're watching the video, and this is live, folks. No, so basically, high school football is king down here in Texas, and I get to go and be the color analyst for the Alito versus Fort Worth Brewer game. So that's going to be fun. That's not on any of your betting sites, though. There's no betting on high school
Bummer.
sports. Okay. It's not on Bet Online, but everything else is.
That's right.
Everything else. I'll tell you a little bit about Bet Online. So basketball is back, and Bet Online, it remains to be your number one source for all of your sports betting needs this season. You're always going to find the latest odds, team matchup info, player news, and game trends at Bet Online. And as your continued source for all your sports wagering information, Bet Online features live betting, free contests, and giveaways all season long. Always the fastest and easiest way to bet all your favorite sports and events, whether that's the NFL, NBA, NHL, MMA, tennis, boxing, or even golf. Head to betonline.ag to join and receive your 50% welcome bonus with your first deposit. Make sure you use our promo code. The promo code is BELIEVE, BLEAV, to receive your rewards. Bet Online, where the game starts. Yes, indeed. I like Bet Online. It's got a lot of every time I go in there, I kind of play with more of the features and see what else is available.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of good things on there. We obviously run the AAA parlay on that thing. Oh Lord, this is breaking news, Brian.
Ooh.
37 minutes ago, it was posted. Jeff Bezos is interested in purchasing the Washington Commanders, and he's interested in partnering with Jay-Z to get it
Wow.
done.
Yeah.
Wow, that's something.
Yeah, those are two huge names that not just sports fans, not just music fans, everybody knows those names. So that would be a huge deal. I think Jeffrey Bezos probably would be the odds-on favorite to buy the team, but to partner with Jay-Z, that would be quite the pairing and probably a good business move for both of those guys to be in the NFL.
Absolutely. I mean, Jay-Z is a guy who's definitely connected to the culture. He's going to be able to connect with the younger players on the team. People look up to Jay-Z, listen to Jay-Z. That's pregame music. You know what I mean? One of the greatest to ever do it. Obviously, he was had ownership in the Nets, Rock Nation Sports, and just a consummate businessman. And he's already partnered with the NFL to help uplift and bring some more life to the Super Bowl halftime show. So him getting into the ownership realm definitely makes a lot of sense, and him partnering with Jeff Bezos, that's electric.
It would be interesting to see if Jeff Bezos could keep the Amazon Prime Thursday night game. We know that Amazon has jumped into that and taken over on Thursday night. They even have plans to have a Black Friday game next year. Is that a conflict of interest? It'd be interesting to see. I don't know how that would work, but you got to be excited about the possibilities of this team being sold and being sold to a couple of big names like that. It'll certainly be exciting to watch and something to monitor over these coming weeks and months or however long it takes.
Yeah, that is definitely some that threw us off schedule.
Yeah.
That's not even what we came over here to
Yeah.
talk about,
Well,
but
we
it
did
it,
we did
it
our
just
little
broke.
we did a few minutes yesterday on the whole ownership thing. That's old news now. Then the next news will be when it is finally sold. Like you said, there are different guys that we're seeing pop up as potential buyers. But like Terry McLaurin, like Ron Rivera, like other guys have said, it is on to Minnesota, and so that's what we're planning on doing. So little bit of ownership news there, but now it's a big test on the field, and that's Kirk Cousins and the Vikings coming to town. Not a lot of fans, I think, are big Kirk Cousins supporters nowadays. They felt like he was underwhelming his time here and kind of left on a sour note. But the Commanders have a chance to get their fourth win in a row, and it would be sweet to do it against Kirk Cousins and the Vikings, who are one of the hottest teams. They are 6-1. Their only loss is to the Philadelphia Eagles, who are undefeated. So this Vikings team is playing really well. A lot of playmakers all over the field on offense and defense. They're going to be a tough matchup this Sunday.
They definitely will be a tough matchup. I think it's a more of a difficult matchup for Washington's defense going against that offense. Dalvin Cook, very talented running back. Kirk Cousins, we know who he is. But Justin Jefferson, one of the most electric receivers in the game right now. Adam Thielen, is he going to be out there? We're not sure. And then you got to add the fact that they did just trade for TJ Hawkinson. Even though they don't utilize the tight ends that often, he's still a talented player, and you've already seen him once. But the biggest thing that's in Washington's favor is the fact that you know who Kirk Cousins is. Even though it wasn't the same coaching staff, there's always something whenever you have a player who's coming back to play his old team.
Yeah, I think Ron Rivera said, and I didn't check his math or check the history, that only 3 guys are left that played with Kirk Cousins. I know for sure that 2 of them are Jonathan Allen and Daron Payne, if I'm not mistaken. So 2 guys that'll be going after Kirk Cousins, kind of know his tendencies, like you said. They have a chance to hit him, and if you hit him, you can force him into some mistakes. I think he's played really well this season, but we know that he can kind of turn back into a pumpkin, right? He looks really good for a long time. He looks good in streaks, and then he'll have that come to earth game. And who knows? Maybe it's in Washington. It's going to be a blackout. The Commanders are wearing their all black jerseys. Hopefully, all the fans will be in black. So hopefully, get a bit of an atmosphere there. And you know that they're going to let Kirk Cousins hear it. Maybe you can affect him and cause him to cough the ball up once or twice, and that could change. It changes any game, but it can especially change the game against a good football team.
Absolutely. And you know that you're going to get a heavy dose of Dalvin Cook, and then play action is what's going to make this offense go. And Washington, the defense is really, really well suited to go against the run. I think they're 6th against the run right now in the season, performing really well. It's exciting, isn't it?
Yeah, big deal.
It is. The defensive line is getting after the quarterback as well. So those 2 things can really help tilt the favor to Washington. I mean, the defense has allowed under 22 points in the last 4 games. So they're really hitting their stride, and I think they have a chance to improve. And knowing the fact that you know where your targets are, the people you really need to circle and pay attention to, the guy in the backfield wearing number 4, and the kid outside is going to do the gritty if you let him get to the end zone. Those are the 2 people you got to focus on. And I think if you can limit those guys' effectiveness in the game, you're going to have a lot of success against this offense.
Yeah, if you can limit those guys, I think you can live with, TJ Hawkinson having 6 or 7 catches, Adam Thielen having a few yards. But yeah, those 2, 4 and 18 are the guys you have to look out for. And then Kirk Cousins looked like Lamar Jackson last week, had like a 17-yard touchdown run. So he's mobile enough, but you just got to play sound like this defense has really done over the last couple of weeks. Limit the big plays that we know that the Vikings are capable of, and then go out there and try to slow them down a little bit. I think that I think that the offense might have some chances against this Vikings team. It seems like a couple of the Vikings games have been shootouts, so I like the chances for Taylor Heineke to get in a rhythm, get his backs involved, but then get Terry McLaurin involved early and often, which has kind of been the struggle throughout the year. He's had big plays, but it hasn't been throughout the entire game. It's kind of been late in the game. This could be a really good chance to get Terry McLaurin involved early and often and try to get some rhythm going. I know that Taylor Heineke talked about the fact that the offense has to be more consistent to help the defense out. They need to sustain some drives. And you might have a good chance to do that here against a Vikings defense that kind of is like a bend but don't break. I think at the end of the game they make a couple of plays, but throughout the game you can have them a couple of times, and there might be a chance for the offense to get some things rolling, give the defense a break against a tough offensive unit too.
100%. Oh my gosh.
I agree. I'm totally with you.
He is with it. He's totally in agreement. The defense for Minnesota, the best part about them is their pass rush. They're able to get to the quarterback and generate some pressure. Zadarius Smith has like 8.5 sacks on the year, so he's effective. You have to make sure you pay attention to where he is and block him up. But outside of that, there is opportunity to be had.
Yeah, we know Harrison Smith can jump in there and cause some turnovers. I think he had a late interception last week. But yeah, if you let that pass rush get to you, you can make some mistakes. Hopefully, Taylor Heineke's mobility can allow him to extend a couple of plays and maybe get Zadarius Smith to be a little over aggressive, open up some running lanes underneath passes. So I like the offensive chances. It's really going to come down to can those tackles hold up against Zadarius Smith and company? And I think, can you slow down? I don't think you're ever going to stop Dalvin Cook and Justin Jefferson, but can you slow them down? I think those are the two key overarching matchups to look out for in this one.
And I think that the way to slow down that defense is to have a balance on offense.
Mm-hmm.
And I went back and listened to our episode, breaking down the game against the Colts, and I said I wanted more out of the running game, but I went and looked at the stats. It was about 31 passes and 28 rushes, so it was very balanced attack. Yeah. Even though, he didn't get, somebody rushed for over 100 yards. I think the leading rusher was 29. It's not very exciting, but that type of play call balance and the way that they were able to push that defense back helped make that running game be effective, even though, the yards weren't too high. So having that balance will keep those guys off balance. Having the balance on offense will keep the defense off balance. You're not sure what to get. And there'll be some holes out there. There's some opportunities to be had because Patrick Peterson is their best cornerback. And he's a great player. He's been in the league a long time. But he's going to have a lot of people going at him. Is he going to cover Terry McLaurin all day, or what? What is he going to do? So it's going to be something to pay attention to.
Yeah, and I think that's key. I think it's just not being predictable because I think they did run the ball a lot, like you said. I went back and looked. We talked about the first down where they were averaging over 7 yards a play on first down. When it got to second down, something went wrong there, and I went back and looked. And of their first 10 second downs, that's all I looked at. 8 of them were runs. So I hope that Scott Turner mixes it up a little bit. You don't have to throw it on second down every time. You don't have to throw it on first down every time, but you can't be predictable. And I think that'll be key to keeping this defense kind of guessing what's going to come next. Maybe you run in some pass situations and you pass on first down in some run situations. Mix it up a little bit. I think Scott Turner has called a couple of good games here, but now it's kind of time to not show off your tendencies and kind of mix it up as best as you can.
Yeah, I mean, we're halfway through the season, so there's plenty of tape. Teams know. You pointed out of just 10 second downs that they were majority were runs. Teams know those things. I remember getting scouting reports on teams, and they were like, they run cover 2 man on third down 22% of the time. So whenever we're in third down, you can anticipate cover 2 man. So you could prepare yourself like that. You know what teams are going to lean to do, and the really good defenses take advantage of those opportunities.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see what the Commanders do. This is a measuring stick game. I mean, every game in the NFL is, but you won 3 in a row. You're back to 500. Get an upset here against a hot team. Make them respect you here and get to 5-4, and things are looking pretty. So this is a big game for the Commanders. One that that they've probably circled for a while now. As much as there's not a whole lot of connection to Kirk Cousins left, you definitely want to beat a former player. That's gotta be a priority.
And not to mention Kevin O'Connell,
right.
Former quarterbacks coach. He's only there for a short time, but his quarterback at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, but who was his quarterback? Kirk Cousins.
That's right.
So I think Kirk is being able to benefit from familiarity in the coach and him being able to put that running game into effect and really being able to capitalize with Dalvin Cook.
Well, you bring up a good point. I think Ron Rivera had the chance to keep Kevin O'Connell. He was the offensive coordinator Jay Gruden's last year. Jay Gruden was fired midway through the season. Kevin O'Connell, I think, did some okay things with the young Dwayne Haskins. He had Case Keenum, not a whole lot of playmakers there. But I think Ron Rivera, if I remember correctly, had the chance to keep Kevin O'Connell around. I think they kind of did a makeshift interview, and he decided for whatever reason that Kevin O'Connell wasn't the guy. That one, I mean, Kevin O'Connell's looked pretty good. He went to LA. He's looked pretty good here as a head coach. This could be a big moment in the Ron Rivera kind of timeline of things because this guy could very easily still be in your building.
Yeah, it kind of comes full circle. But I mean, if Coach Rivera has a relationship with Scott Turner, from the
Sure.
past, I mean, hey, you got to be real.
Yeah.
You're probably trying to help your guy move up a little bit. He believes in Scott Turner and what he did before, and knows how he's going to work. And now I guess this is one of those games where you get to say how do these two guys match up. But
Yeah.
it'll be a good game. I do think it's a winnable game. I say this. I feel like I say this every week
Yeah.
because I do think every game is winnable. I don't think that
I
every
agree.
sure there may be 10 things that need to happen, but if those 10 things were to happen, right? It's like,
Right.
you can have some faith and we can at least try to say, hey, if we're going to go with the best case scenario, what would have to happen? And that's generally what my recipes end up being. So I think
Yeah.
this is a winnable game. I would have more, pause about it if Minnesota's defense was more on the Philly scale.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know what I mean? They got one part of it down, but that secondary, the back half, it is not as much of not as many playmakers back there. No disrespect to Harrison Smith and Patrick Peterson, but compared to what Philly was doing,
Hmm.
you can see there's a difference. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
those guys are up there in years. You already mentioned Patrick Peterson. I know Harrison Smith's been around for the better part of 10 years or close to it. So yeah, there's definitely a chance for the playmakers to make something happen there. Speaking of, Jahan Dotson didn't practice again today. I saw something that it sounded like Scott Turner was optimistic that he'll be back soon. I don't know that he'll play again. He hasn't practiced now for 2 straight days. I guess we'll see what happens the rest of the week. I guess that all that's left is Friday, but that he'll I keep saying he's going to be a big boost whenever he comes back. So I'm glad they're playing it slow, but you would love to have him out there. And then Cole Holcomb again missed practice. David Mayo as well. J.D. McKissick. Limited was Logan Thomas and Shaka Tony. So a couple of guys banged up, but not huge names missing out there. But it sounds like maybe Cam Curl is going to be wearing the green dot again. I like the way that looked, and I thought the defense had a really solid showing. So you know that they can adapt and make it through, even if a couple guys are not there that you're used to.
I think that's a great idea of keeping Cam calling those plays.
Yeah.
Even when, and like I said last time, even when Cole Holcomb comes back, just let Cam do it. That way, you just have
Hmm.
one voice that's saying it, and Cole's still gonna know what to do. It doesn't mean he can't help
Right.
adjust people up front if need be, but hey, just have one voice, and the defense has been playing well. Since Cam has taken over, has been back one, and then obviously last game the Dean played well, did well also.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, so also news, William Jackson the third was traded to the Steelers. A couple of late round picks swapped there. You already mentioned TJ Hawkinson going from the Lions to the Vikings. Ton of big deals across the NFL. What a crazy day. I wrapped up our recap show saying I didn't think much would happen. Wrong there.
Yeah,
There
a
was a
record.
whole lot. I mean, it was going left and right. I was refreshing my phone and something was happening. All kinds of stuff happening on Tuesday for the trade deadline.
It was a record day in the NFL for trade deadline day of the deadline deals. 10 of them. You
Wow.
kidding me? That's a lot. Now, people asking me, who are the winners and losers of this trade deadline? And really, if you wait a couple of days and you take the news that Bradley Chubb just signed that extension with Miami, that's my number one winner of this whole entire trade deadline. The way
Yeah.
that they turned the Trey Lance trade and they made it a Jalen Waddle, Tyreek Hill, and now Bradley Chubb. Those are three dynamic players, and Mike McDaniel has that offense looking amazing.
Yeah.
Now you lock up a great pass rusher like Bradley Chubb. Now you have a team that's set up for the next 3, 4, 5 years.
And a minor deal that they also completed was Jeff Wilson. So he got another guy that he already knows to pair once again with Raheem Mostert. And yeah, that Miami team looks like it's clicking. Looks like the defense was the side that was lacking a little bit. And I think they realized that they might not catch the Bills, which I don't think anybody is in the AFC, but the Miami Dolphins are definitely going to be a team to reckon with because you got to be able to stop them. And with that many playmakers all over the place, Gesicki having another big game last week, Tua's just got to kind of throw it up and someone will be there. So, yeah, I love what the Dolphins did. It's easy to say that for me, I agree. I think they're the winners. Like you said, getting the long-term deal locked down was key because I think that was part of it. But yeah, getting a stud like Bradley Chubb to go with some of the other guys that they already have there, Xavier Howard, and on that defense. Yeah, that's gonna be interesting to see, and I think that they're loading up not just for this year but for the future. So we mentioned Hawkinson. Also in the NFC North, Chase Claypool goes to the Bears, hopefully getting Justin Fields some another weapon or a legit number one wide receiver. The Bears were also involved in a Roquan Smith deal. I think that happened like right as we were recording.
More breaking news.
Yeah, so that was big, and then the Ravens on top of it got two guys back from injured reserve, so they basically got a whole starting linebacking core on the trade deadline. I think you said it last time. They just do everything right, and they get it right every single time. So it's hard not to like what they're doing there. What were some of the other ones? Chase Edmonds went over in that Bradley Chubb deal to Denver.
I'm sure he's upset.
Yeah. Going from a really good offense to an offense that's been stalling, but Chase Edmonds might end up being their starter. I mean, Latavius Murray, they had picked him up off the scrap heaps. Melvin Gordon has been in and out of the lineup. Chase Edmonds could end up being the guy in Denver. Naheem Hines, the Commanders convinced the Colts to kind of blow it up a little bit there. They fired their offensive coordinator and then also traded the guy that scored the one touchdown in that game. So Naheem Hines to the Bills, he's got to be feeling pretty good about that. And
he is happy.
Yeah, the Falcons made a trio of deals. They got Rashad Fenton from the Chiefs, sent Dean Marlowe to the Bills, and then a kind of surprising one, a name we've forgotten for a while this year, Calvin Ridley sent to the Jaguars. Not eligible to play, suspended this year, but a nice little weapon for Trevor Lawrence in the future.
I like Calvin Ridley.
I do too. Yeah,
he's just a talented route runner, and I mean the way that Christian Kirk has been looking this year. I mean, we're being real with it. They're going to have a couple of really good route runners that can be down there to just generate some offense. Yeah, Travis Etienne, I think he ran for like 150 a couple weeks ago.
Yep.
I mean, the Jags, man.
Yeah,
that's something. I'm sorry. This is. I know I've seen a lot of posts where people say it doesn't take a long time to turn some teams around. That is true. But you still have to build that sucker out. You know what I mean? You still have to build it out. Jags have made a lot of plays, and they've frankly been bad for a long time, and were able to scout some good players and keep them in the building. This last offseason, they've really stepped it up and brought in some players out.
And they had to clean out a lot of that stink from Urban Meyer last year. I mean, thankfully he got you Trevor Lawrence and Travis Etienne, but just kind of what he did in one season, that's going to take a couple seasons just to turn around already. They've kind of been underwhelming this year, but you can see the pieces and you can see things that are going to start to come together. So it's always interesting with these trade deals. You kind of want to see an immediate impact, but then you look at all the draft picks that changed hands, and those are going to turn into guys as well. We mentioned all the deals that happened on the trade deadline day, and we can't forget Kadarius Toney, Christian McCaffrey, Robbie Anderson, Deion Jones. Some of those guys were traded before the deadline, so there are a lot of moving pieces. Teams look a whole lot different. It'll be interesting to see how these new guys affect their new teams in the second half of the season.
I think this has got to be the most exciting time. I mean, I don't recall. I mean, the NFL's been on fire since the playoffs last year, and this trade deadline definitely did not disappoint. This is one of the few times where there's multiple teams where they really do look different. They're going to look different going into the second half of the season. Yeah. Some teams are going to be able to. They're thinking they're building for the future, and some teams are trying to make some changes to have an impact right now. And I'm excited for the second half of the year. I think there's going to be some shuffling and jostling, but as close as some of these teams are in some divisions, some of these trades, like that Bradley Chubb trade, might be what Miami needs to really jump up and try to gain some ground.
Yeah, I saw someone say that, the Chiefs a couple of years now have brought in a veteran pass rusher to help in the playoffs. We know that Buffalo this year and the Rams last year brought in Von Miller. This could be the kind of move, like you said, that does Bradley Chubb make a huge impact maybe, for the rest of the season, but into the playoffs as well, depending on who they match up with, because the best way to beat a good quarterback is to have a good pass rush and put him under duress. So, yeah, big stuff, big moves there. It'll be interesting to see. I have a question for you as a former player. I don't know. I feel like trading players has become a little more of a thing more recently. But what do you do as a teammate or as a member of a team when a guy who is obviously looking for a trade does not get that request granted? I'm thinking of Cam Akers, who now is, I guess, back in the fold at running back for the Rams after they tried to trade him. Brandon Cooks made very clear that he was expecting to be traded. Didn't happen. As far as I know, he's not playing tonight for the Texans. How do you handle that as a teammate, as just a member of the team? What do you say? What do you do? How do you go about that?
I mean, I can say you look at it two ways, and I think if you're in the building and you kind of know some of the scenarios, it just depends, right? So if you're a team that's in the hunt and you have a guy who like checks out and doesn't want to be a part of it, that's frustrating. You probably say, "Man, that's selfish. It's hella selfish that you're doing that." And it's like you understand though. On the flip side, everybody's trying to do their business. They're trying to do what's best for them and their family, and I get that. So if it's something at the detriment of the team, you're like, man, that's a little selfish. But on the flip side, if I'm the second person, but I'm behind them, I'm like, hell, that's an opportunity. I get to get on the field. I get to go and show what I can do, and then it'll make things right in the end. So it's just one of those things that you generally stick to your business, and when it comes down to somebody else's business, what's going on with them in the front office, my name is Bennett, and I ain't in it.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, I got to think that most guys are professionals, and they figure it out, they sort things out. Didn't happen how they wanted it to, but then you got to get back to work because you got to earn that paycheck. You hope that guys can see that and can kind of make things right, or at least kind of pull in the right direction. I just think it's got to be a little bit awkward when a guy didn't want to be there, and then you're supposed to go out there and block for that guy, or catch a pass from that guy, whatever it may be.
Well, see, the thing is though, like everybody still has to do their job, right?
Right.
Hey, like you look at the William Jackson.
Yeah.
They said, hey, he has a back injury, and hey, you're not going to question somebody's injury, but they kind of came to a mutual agreement, like this is what's going to be best for the team. So that's not a bad thing. But then the team was playing well, and everybody probably knows that. You sometimes like, man, dude is not getting it done, and you kind of have to commend the team for making those moves.
Yeah. Well, so a bunch of trades. The Commanders will be, be down one guy that hasn't been playing in William Jackson. We'll see if T.J. Hawkinson. Well, it sounds like Irv Smith is going on IR, so T.J. Hawkinson sounds like he's going to play. So we'll see him for the second time. Hopefully they can shut him down. But we'll see how all these trades affect the teams the second half of the season. We'll see how the Commanders do against the Vikings on Sunday. A big test against Kirk Cousins and those guys. We'll break it all down, however it goes, good, bad, or ugly on Sunday. But hopefully, the blackout is a black eye for Kirk Cousins, and the Commanders can pull the upset.
Gonna have a little juju going up there, man. They're gonna have to, try to make Kirk nervous. That's gonna be the goal. But yes, indeed, appreciate y'all. Appreciate everybody over at Bet Online. Check out Bet Online. You can hit them up. Go over there, betonline.ag. Use our promo code BELIEVE, BLEAV. 50% welcome bonus. Check us out on TuneIn as well. Stadium. You may even hear us on SiriusXM.
Yeah. Arrow is pumped. I'm pumped too. You can check us out in all those spots. So we appreciate Bet Online for bringing you the show. We're gonna stick around and do our picks, and I promise to post them this week. I promise. But we'll stick around and do that. So if you're watching, stay tuned for that. If not, we'll talk to you on Monday or Tuesday as we wrap up the Vikings and Commanders. Be good, and thanks for checking us out.
Peace out.
All right, well, let's jump right into it. Our Week 9 picks, and again, I promise to get these up. What do our Week 9 picks look like? Let's bring up the board this week. A light slate. I think there are only 13 games. I think that's the lowest we've had so far. I think a lot of teams are on buys, so a chance to go 13-0. That's what I'm looking at right here. Starting off with Thursday Night Football, it's the Eagles and the Texans. I think everybody's taking the Eagles. The Texans seem to be in a bit of a mess, can't really get out from underneath themselves. Brandon Cook's not happy with the team. I think the question will be, can the Eagles win by 2 touchdowns, which they are favored by, according to our friends at Bet Online? I am going to say yes. I think they're humming. I think that they have a light work tonight, and I think that the Eagles win this one pretty handedly by at least a couple of touchdowns, if not closer to 17 or so.
They just changed the spread because when I wrote this down earlier in the week, it was 13 points. But now it's 14. So, yeah, I'm still going to stick with Philly. I think they're going to get this one done.
Yeah, me too. Just they have too many weapons. The Texans have too many holes. I think I went out of order here. I was going based off of ESPN's list of games, and I went back for the spreads. But Chargers are a 3-point favorite on the road here in Atlanta. Both are teams that I can't quite figure out. The Chargers are coming off a bye, hopefully rested. Maybe have Keenan Allen back, maybe not. I'm not sure. But Justin Herbert and Austin Eckler will be there. And the Falcons just gave up a whole lot of yards and points to the Panthers. That lends me to take the Chargers. I think that they get the job done on the road, as much as I like what the Falcons have done. Gritty, scrappy kind of team, but I'm going to take the Chargers in this one.
Yeah. Scrappy Atlanta, you're correct. The Chargers, they always feel like they kind of underwhelm, but I'm going to go with them. I think they can win by 4, you know, so I'm going to go with them. I'm going to go ahead and take Atlanta or the Chargers.
All right. We got the Dolphins, who we've talked about already, seem to be one of the winners of the trade deadline. Tua Tagovailoa was spreading the ball around last week. Waddle had 2 touchdowns. Tyreek Hill almost had 200 yards. Do they keep it up as AAA does the Waddle? That's pretty good. They are a 5-point favorite going to the Bears. Justin Fields potentially with his new weapon, Chase Claypool. Dolphins 5-point favorite. All these road favorites. I'm going to stick with them, though. I'm going to take the Dolphins.
I'm going to go with the Dolphins as well. I would say weather permitting, but that means the Bears are going to have to play in it too. I think the Dolphins have too much firepower. This is another one where the spread went up to 5. It was at 4.5. Still going to go with the Dolphins, though.
All right. The Panthers at the Bengals, our first home favorite. The Bengals a 7-point favorite. The Panthers gave the Falcons everything they could handle. Thought P.J. Walker threw a game-winning touchdown pass to DJ Moore. They seem to have a pretty good connection, and DJ Moore did not move at the trade deadline, so we'll see more of that most likely through the rest of the season. I think the Bengals are going to be pretty upset after losing on Monday Night Football, getting smacked by the Browns. I do think that 7 is a lot there, so give me the Panthers to cover, but the Bengals to win.
All right, you're doing one of those little mixes and matches.
I guess. I don't feel great about either, but I just think the Bengals definitely win this one. They can't lose another one.
Yeah, I feel like we say that week in and week out.
And I'm wrong every week, so just take that with a grain of salt.
I'm gonna give PJ and them a little love. I'm gonna say PJ and them can at least cover this thing.
Yeah,
I'm gonna take the Panthers to cover. I do think the Bengals should win this one, but Panthers can cover.
All right, the Packers looking to avoid their 5th straight loss. I don't even know if that's right because it sounds so crazy, but they are going to Detroit, where the Lions have only the 1 win on the season against the Commanders, as embarrassing as that is to say. No way Aaron Rodgers loses to the Lions. I think that he just destroys the Bears and the Lions, no matter how bad his team is, and I think he does that this week. Lions just are not very good, so give me the Packers to finally get a win after a month and a half.
Yeah, Aaron Rodgers is not going to drop this one. If he does, that's a bad situation. Yeah. It's also, this spread did go up from 3. So if you got in early, then
you got the field goal there.
Got a little help there, but you know.
Yeah. All right. So the Pats are at home, a 5-point favorite against the Colts, who, as we mentioned earlier in the episode, got rid of Nyheim Hines. Might not have Jonathan Taylor, who did not look very good against the Commanders last week, having a fumble and only about 57 yards. I don't know what to make of the Patriots. I always feel like they have no shot, and then they go out and they beat a team like the Jets for the 12th straight time or whatever it is. So give me the Patriots in this one. I think that the Colts are just too banged up and that they don't have enough firepower right now. I think Sam Ehlinger has got the chance to be pretty decent, but I'm going to take the Pats and Bill Belichick against a young quarterback.
New England for the win.
Uh,
They can't. Yeah, the New England's going to get it. They'll be all good. Let's see. That says 5.5. What does it say on there for
I
your
said
board?
I saw 5.
Okay, yeah. So it went down. I wrote these like
Okay.
earlier in the week. I was like, I'm gonna be all prepared and have everything going. So just at that time, it was 5.5, and now it's 5. So that's all right. That's good. Good to know. Go
All
ahead.
right. All right. AFC East matchup, the Bills at the Jets. The Jets, as I just mentioned, dropped a disappointing one to the Patriots. I think it's now 12 or 13 in a row they've lost to the Patriots. Bills an 11.5 point favorite. I think they're going to be up 2 touchdowns, but I think they kind of pull back at the end, and I think the Jets cover, but the Bills still win this one pretty handedly.
This is another one where the spread changed. So when I first looked, it was Buffalo was a 13-point favorite.
Whoa, point
Yeah,
and a half. Wow.
yeah. So I was like, oh man, I took the Jets because I thought they could cover that. Um, I kind of feel like they could cover it still. But that 11.5 kind of tempts me to lean towards Buffalo. You're just requiring a whole lot of that's a lot of offense to add. I'm gonna
Yeah,
stick with the Jets. I wrote that down, even though it's erasable. I'm gonna say that it's in
there you go.
permanent. I'm riding with the Jets to cover this one.
All right, the Vikings at the Commanders, which we've already talked about. Vikings a 3.5 point favorite. I think the Commanders' little streak comes to an end here. I don't think they're out of it. I think they got some winnable games ahead of them, but I think the Vikings are legit. As you might know, the Vikings only losses to the Eagles. I think it's going to be a tough one for the Commanders. I think they're going to hang around, but I think the Vikings take this and they win it by like a 24-20 type game, 27-21 type game there. So I'm going to take the Vikings in this one.
I muted it and then said something. I think they're gonna barely beat them. Um, with this one, I'm going with the energy in the building. I'm going
All
to go
right.
with the energy in the building. I'm going with the momentum behind Taylor Heineke. I think he can get this W. He's kind of the dragon slayer. This might be the game that they steal out of these next 4. That would give them a chance to, work towards at least that 2-2. But if they
Yeah.
can steal this one against Minnesota, that'd be good. So I'm going to go with Washington. I think this is our first, one of our
Yeah.
first or second disagreements on
All
this.
right, that's either good or bad. I don't know there. I don't know how this is going to turn out. All right, the Raiders somehow are favored against the Jaguars. Maybe it's because the Jaguars continually underperform. But I'm gonna stick with them. I think the Jaguars win at home. The Raiders are a mess. So are the Jaguars though. But give me the Jaguars just because they're at home. And I like what they did last week despite the loss. Raiders, I did not like what they did last week. Got shut out. I think Devontae Adams had 1 catch. So give me Jacksonville.
Yeah, give me the Jags. Give me the Jags. Vegas, yeah, I don't know what's going on in Vegas. I do
Yeah.
not know. Oceans 11, 12, 13, one of them. I don't know what's up in Vegas, man.
We've been hard on Vegas, and rightly so. Josh McDaniels has been pretty bad there, and Derek Carr somehow has the best receiver he's ever thrown to, and can't figure it out there. He's having one of his worst seasons. An intriguing one, an NFC South, or excuse me, NFC West matchup. The Seahawks with a big win at home against the Giants. This week they go to Arizona. Arizona, a 2-point favorite in this one. I think I'm kind of surprised by that too. I thought that Geno would get a little more love. Maybe it's the Cardinals being at home. That being said, do I want to go with Geno Smith another week? You know what? I'm changing my pick on the fly. I thought for sure I was going Cardinals. Give me Geno Smith. I love what he's doing. I like what the Seahawks are doing. Their defense is playing well. So give me the Seahawks on the technically a road upset against the Cardinals.
I'm taking that too. Uh, Geno's he's been playing really well. He's been
Yeah,
playing really well, and I think he has one of the best. Him and Saquon Barkley lead the way for the odds of NFL comeback player of the year, and
absolutely.
it is not reserved for somebody coming back from an injury.
Yeah, absolutely. A guy that, man, hasn't started in years, was written off. It's fun to watch him go out there and prove everybody wrong and sling that ball around. All right, Rams at Bucks. Two teams going in the wrong direction. Rams lost a divisional matchup. Bucks lost the Thursday night matchup last week. Bucks a 3-point favorite at home. It's hard to pick against both of these teams. You got to think that they right the ship at some point. Give me the Bucks, though. I think Tom Brady's more used to coming off a loss. We'll see how Matthew Stafford handles it, but I'm going to take the Bucks in a game that I don't feel great about. I think that they win this one by 3-4 points.
Well, then I will take the Rams and Sean McVay. They were trying their hardest to get Brian Burns. They offered 2 first-round
Yeah,
picks to get Brian Burns, and the Panthers said no deal,
yeah.
no dice. So I'm kind of surprised at that, but I think that the Rams got to find a way to get it going. I think he's going to call some fake punts if need be to do whatever he needs to do to go back to the West Coast with the W. So I'll take those Rams.
All right. So that'll be an interesting one. Should still be a pretty good game, despite the fact that the teams are not that great, at least not the last few weeks. It just says 12.5 by the Chiefs, but they are a 12.5-point favorite against the Titans. Chiefs at home off a bye week. Titans beat up on the Texans last week. Derrick Henry had over 200 yards. I think the Chiefs, a well-rested Chiefs team that probably just doesn't even need rest, is a recipe for disaster. And I think that is a blowout on Sunday night. I'll take the Chiefs here. I think the Titans are good in games where they can just run the ball and hold on to the lead, but it's hard to run the ball when you're behind by a couple of scores. So give me the Chiefs in this one.
I think the Chiefs are an easy bet. You normally be scared by the 12.5, but I think the Titans threw the ball 10 times against the Colts when
Made it
Willis
easy
was
for Malik.
starting.
Yeah.
Yeah, they made it easy on him. And the recipe to go against Mahomes is try to keep those guys off the field. So it's going to be a lot of Derrick Henry, but I think Kansas City will get it.
All right, and finally, Monday Night Football, the Ravens going from Thursday night to Monday night, so a nice long layoff there. They're on the road at the Saints, but they're a 2.5-point favorite. I'm going to take Lamar Jackson, hopefully getting some guys back, although I think I just saw Rashad Bateman is out for the year, but he's got some guys. He'll make a weapon out of anybody. We saw Isaiah Likely have a huge game on Thursday Night Football. So give me the Ravens in this one, despite the Saints' nice win last week at home, a lot of Alvin Kamara, but the Ravens added in Roquan Smith. Yeah, just give me the Baltimore in this one.
Alvin Kamara was traded.
Yeah.
Philly was in the mix for that, and I'm glad that didn't happen.
Yes.
I think Baltimore can do it. They've had some shootouts, and I wouldn't be surprised if this was one of those shootouts. But too much Lamar Jackson, late turnover by the Saints. That's the type of game I see going on.
All right, and finally, hit us up with the AAA parlay. You've been sticking with the afternoon games. You seem to have a beat on those. You say the 3:30, but they're the 4:30 games for us East Coasters. What are you thinking for a AAA parlay, 3 games or so that you like?
Well, so on this week there's actually 2 of those games. So here's what I would do. Here's what I'd do. If I'm going to take these 3, I'd probably take these 2 road dogs. I'd take Seattle. I just say I take Seattle to win. That gives me some positive odds. I'll take the Rams to win. And then I would just say you could go easy money and say I want to take the Chiefs, even though that's an evening game because you're short one game, right?
Right.
So I would probably look at something like that. I think that would be a solid play because obviously we feel like the Chiefs game is going to be, we think the Chiefs are going to win. So I'd rather take that. But if I can get a couple of road dogs, I think the Rams will do it, and I think Seattle will do it. Those should help my odds go up. So that's the AAA parlay: 2 road dogs and a fave.
I like it. And remember that you can use our code BLEAV at betonline.ag to receive 50% off your welcome bonus. So sign up, get half of your money back when you put in your first deposit. Just use Believe, BLEAV. They have not only football, basketball, everything, in-game odds, contests, all of that. So be sure to check them out for football, Saturday, Sunday, and beyond, and then basketball and all that good stuff too. So we appreciate you checking out our picks pod. Hopefully the AAA parlay hits. We'll be sure to recap that next week. And of course, we'll talk to you after the Commanders play the Vikings as a home dog. Hopefully they can pull the upset as well. We appreciate you guys checking us out, staying with us on the video where you saw our pregame forecast for the Vikings and the Commanders, and sticking with us through our picks. And Arrow, our special guest, he's had it. He's done with the show, and so are we. So we're going to sign off, and we'll talk to you. Have a great weekend watching the NFL and football and beyond. Yeah,
Oh,
I know. I
see you
hate it's over,
later.
buddy.
See y'all on the
Uh,
next one.